Artists can find inspiration in as diverse places as the mediums in which they create. In Cuba, this can be as simple as noticing your surroundings. Beauty is everywhere, in the architecture, the colors of buildings, plants on balconies, and ironwork. It can even be found in the chipped paint and stonework that tells a rich history. Printmaking in Cuba is an important part of that history. As Cuba's oldest print studio, it is an honor to work alongside master printers at the Experimental Graphics Workshop. Ohio artists did just that, and not just for a single session.
La colaboración es importante y la colaboración entre artistas cubanos y norteamericanos es una manera de construir puentes donde otras situaciones han construido muros. Así que este proyecto es el doble importante porque está realizado entre artistas de Ohio y Cuba y es una manera de saltar las diferencias que existen en ideología, política y la cultura. Es una manera de acercar a artistas de ambas naciones. Así que, y la colaboración es importante porque cada artista, cada país tiene su lenguaje.
Something I found amazing in Cuba is I speak no Spanish, and many of the printmakers I was working with speak no English, but it didn't matter. We could communicate through our art and what we were doing, but I think on a broader sense, you know, country to country, politician to politician, this is our connection. And, you know, I think that's really important. It really helps us to understand another culture, another people, where they're coming from, what their needs are, and they in turn understand us.
Pienso que soy un creador más que artista, ¿entiendes? En mis obras puedo ir reflejando todo mi universo, como digo yo, mágico, religioso y además filosófico, que yo voy expresando en mis obras. De hecho, la técnica que uso es monotipia, me siento muy libre, aún no ser una técnica de grabado, aunque hago grabado, pero ahí puedo expresar mucho más todo este sistema mágico religioso en la que estoy inmerso y es, como dice el dicho, en la que creo yo.
You know, I'm part of a cooperative studio, and you know, when I go into the studio, if there's other people there, you know, there's noise-canceling headphones and people are in their bubble working, and it always feels like a community, of course, but the Cuban artists that I observed at the printmaking studio, they had such genuine warmth for one another, and they were so open and so quick to be in conversation, greeting each other, helping each other. And I just thought that that was very convicting in a way, because I had to ask myself, am I going out of my way to the same level that these artists are supporting each other? Because I think that American community is more like it's all on my terms. You know, I've got caller ID, I don't need to talk to you if I don't want to. And the Cuban artists together, just, it's like there were no barriers between them. They were just all there together and making art and spending time, and it was very energetic, and just watching the way they laughed with each other. And you'd never know that Cuba has some of the financial kinds of struggles that it does by watching these artists who were just like, you'd think that everything was great in the world when you watched the way they enjoyed being with each other. And I just thought that was just amazing.
Porque claro, que todos nos nutrimos uno a otro, y entonces ya la colaboración entre un país y otro, eso nos da al traste que hay hermandad y hay y hay, no sé, hay cosas buenas, cosas... El arte, claro, que es el alimento del alma porque no, todas las personas quisieran tener algo de arte en su casa, ¿entiendes? Y por lo tanto, yo supongo que es el alimento del alma para mí.
The Ohio artists who worked in the print studio also met with world-renowned Cuban artist Abel Barroso. Abel is known for combining printmaking and sculpture in his work, often resulting in a commentary on life in Cuba.
One of my first goals is to communicate through my art. Since I was a student, art for me was very important because I was learning from my teachers that art is a way of life. It's part of my life, it's my career, and since the beginning is the way that I used to reflect about what the meaning of world. When I start traveling, my art become widely full of thirsty of knowledge. I think a change and communication make my art grow up in a different layer of communication through the world. I don't speak Japanese, but I show in Japan. I don't speak French, but I show in France. So I think through the art we can communicate. We can get together and we can follow different ideas.
Abel was great. And the studio that we worked in is his garage. He pulled out his car. Adjacent to the garage is basically his wood workshop. And the concepts that he presents with us is kind of a continuation of a series where he would use the motif of a boomerang. And the boomerang represents a journey leaving and returning. And so we were presented with kind of a question mark of what kind of images could you carve into a boomerang that represent your visit to Cuba. What are you bringing with you? What are you leaving in Cuba? What will you take from Cuba back to your journey home, and kind of seeing it as a dialogue between home and Cuba. That was a special experience there, but we took that experience home in order to bring it to a resolve. And I think that's something that's really special about this trip is when you are thinking about ideas in your home studio, like literally here in my basement, and then how other artists respond to it, what it means in a totally another country, what it means to develop ideas there and then bring it home and then bring it to fruition was a really important part of the trip.
A lot of my work is how I see the world, and I think that comes from like finding those hidden moments. So it's my relationship either with myself or with a past self, my relationship with a certain place that I've been to. We were in Old Havana, so it's an older part of the city. Things are built upwards, there's not a ton of space. People live very openly. Just walking down the street, people are outside on their porch. People are in the parks. People are like walking everywhere down the street. It's very open and you're very open to each other. That was really inspiring. I really liked it.
One of the things that's really interesting about working with Henry and working in Franklinton is that he's had this opportunity to see other artists, to be exposed to other art and other types of art, so that he can kind of incorporate what he wants and what he doesn't want. Having that opportunity to go to Cuba and see that on an immersive level, where we were there all week, being immersed in all that art and all that really top level artistry, you could just see him being inspired every day. One of the things that I thought he was most interested in was the printing place, the presses. He was really intrigued by the method and the process where they were using those giant printing presses and really engaged. He was intrigued by that. He certainly loved the cars, right? That's kind of a theme throughout, but I think he really enjoyed that more as an experience, although he is, working that into his art now. It really was wonderful to be able to, because I had the opportunity to walk in first. So I walked in and experienced it while he was getting his pictures taken, and then I got to stand there and watch him come in And I think he was surprised to walk into the room because I saw the wonder in his eyes. And I saw him look around the room with pride and with wonder at his art in another country, being admired by other people. And it was really beautiful. Oftentimes in our lives, we talk about people who get it and people who don't, right? And as soon as we went into the Riera Gallery and met those two, you immediately knew that they got it. They understood the needs and the support and the opportunity, the whole picture. We immediately felt that bond of understanding.
To be creative is something that comes out of you spontaneously. So when these two groups of artists meet and they start talking and they realize they are talking the same language and they feel so free, it's so incredible and they feel so wonderful. And I feel blessed because I was there.
Creo que es importante porque abre el diapasón de nosotros los creadores y los creadores, es decir, de otras latitudes, en este caso de Estados Unidos, conocen lo que hacemos aquí, tal vez con recursos limitados, con carencia. Creo que es muy importante conocer de ambas partes lo que en el mundo del arte se está haciendo, que es bastante.
Going and interacting with other artists and other cultures is you're reminded how much there is to learn and how much you don't know, and how we all have so many different experiences because of where we come from, but it's also fun to find those ones that are the same. Like Manuel and he's from Cuba and an older gentleman, and I'm 24 from Ohio, and we've had very similar priorities in family and home, and really we're able to bond over that. So it's really cool to see his work and my work have similarities but be so different from our upbringing and life experiences, and just grow from that.
You can really see it in the artwork. You know, the creativity was just overwhelming. It was absolutely overwhelming. And that was my takeaway, that, you know, you can create from whatever you have. You know, you don't need a lot if you have that desire and that creative energy, that you can really make some beautiful artwork. And all of the museums we went to, the artwork was phenomenal. It was just really amazing.
That's what drew me. The biggest thing that I took from Cuba, tying back to that spiritual aspect in my work, I saw that in like everybody in Cuba. Like, they have such a strong, resilient spirit because of their history and everything they've been through. So looking at the people on the streets, like, they're all like connected, they're all like still happy in a way, like they still have this like light energy to them, even though like around them things are like falling apart and things like that. It just inspired me to, like, you know, continue with that resilience and to not be ashamed of where I come from and the struggles I've been through.
One of the most inspiring and moving experiences I had when we were in Cuba was actually going to one of their churches and realizing that as a Filipino American, my culture has so much in common with theirs, down to this idea of having this version of the Virgin Mary that we look to as a deity, and how a lot of our ceremonies and rituals really intersect. And I was moved by the way it was all encompassing. I loved the way the Cuban culture embraces all of the aspects of their culture as a whole. It feels like a melting pot. We go to places here in New York and we say that, but you could really feel it in Cuba, where I felt welcome, and I didn't feel like they looked at me like, oh, she's American, or oh, she's Filipino, or oh, she's Asian. It was an interesting lens that I felt like I was being seen there, and I was really moved by that.
I think if every American went to Cuba and just for 1 minute had a moment where they understood vulnerability, where they understood humanity, where they understand that not everyone has it, not everyone's gonna get it. But you have to keep going, you know. I don't know, that's a complicated question.
Through learning about one another's stories and sharing traditions, works were created that resonate with a shared humanity. The 15th Havana Biennial held exhibitions across the city. The work of Ohio artists was exhibited in many places all over Havana, including the National Museum of Contemporary Ceramics and the Count of Lombio's Palace. This project is a beautiful reflection of what the collaboration represents.
Buenos días. Hemos iniciado esta apertura de la exposición del proyecto La calle donde todos vivimos, precisamente en este espacio de La Habana Vieja, que es el Museo de Cerámica Contemporánea de Cuba.
I want to express to everyone whose hands have touched this project, it's been a labor of love. Artway is deeply honored to be one of only 2 American organizations invited to participate in this prestigious international event. The talent and vision of our artists and the Cuban artists underscore the importance of cultural exchange in today's world.
I'm first-generation American of Cuban parents, so I'm American of Cuban descent. And you know, for me, being in Cuba for the first time was sort of like figuring out myself and who I am. And that was an experience that transcended the music and the art. Of course, being an artist myself, you know, I translate all that through my art, through the music I was playing. It was very emotional for me as I was making music there.
Performance artists collaborated in a different but equally enriching experience. They forged lasting connections with students from the University of Arts and the National School of Arts of Cuba.
For me, it's about connection. It's about shared humanity. And that connection through something that is intrinsic to our humanity, like music, like art. I mean, are you kidding? That's what makes us humans and not just animals. And so that to me is what this kind of trade, this kind of exploration, this kind of back and forth really means. It means that we all get to come together and it's no longer political and it's no longer financial, and suddenly it's now just humans doing things that make humans feel like humans.
Especially in this climate where we are so divided and we are so busy thinking that this group is the other, this group is the other. And we're all people. And our creativity comes from us being human. We're all flesh and blood. And it is important, it is imperative, I think, for us to grow as people. And if I can see your creativity and you can see mine and we can put it together, oh my gosh, that's a masterpiece right there.
The most important thing is when you do stuff like this, traveling and going to places to learn different perspectives, I feel like the brain cracks open more. is something that's priceless. It's more important than money. It's more important than materialistic. The more you travel and learn the different perspectives of life as an artist, you start to let your brain open up to more. And that's the most powerful thing you can have, is to see perspectives in the world. So don't just go to be a tourist, but go to understand and learn. And you also learn how you can do better. You know, no matter who you are, when you go to other places in the world, especially going to Cuba, it taught me about some of the things that I can do better in my daily life, Monday through Sunday. Things that I can appreciate just a little bit more than I did before I got here.
Getting to see inside of somebody's mind and just have those types of connections, it's like getting to have a fast pass. Just like when you listen to somebody's song that they wrote, when you look at someone's art that they created, you get to ask better questions, you get to ask deeper questions, you get to make a more meaningful connection that's not just surface. Experiencing other cultures has really helped me gain perspective of other people. Sometimes it's really hard to understand where folks are coming from, especially when it comes to heritage and where folks come from, and especially motherland things. I've had the privilege and the absolute blessing of being able to travel as an artist, but also not as an artist, internationally. And it's been very interesting to see the seats in the motherlands of other cultures, and it really helps you to understand where folks are coming from, and you get to see another perspective in a very honest and pure way. When you're in someone else's country and when you're experiencing someone else's culture, you're experiencing their country and their culture through their eyes.
Being born outside the United States makes it easier for me to travel to another culture, to another country, to another place, because I came to America not being able to speak English, not understanding the culture of the United States and how the United States works. So it's somewhat easier for me when I travel, but that doesn't mean that it still doesn't help my art. Because when I go to places like Cuba, for example, I can relate to that because I grew up in a socialist, communist country as my childhood. To see the kids' school uniform, to see the cars, I'm talking about the Russian style cars, all of those things trigger some sort of memory for me, and it highlights, oh, I need to photograph, I need to capture, this is my youth as well. So there is a correlation. It is not so much, it's a culture, I don't understand it. I do understand it, but I want to investigate it more. What are the similarities? What are the differences? And also it gives me a new way of seeing. As a photographer and as a visual artist, you always are looking at things and you want to understand more. You want to investigate more. And I think every time that I go to Cuba, there's one layer that gets peeled, and I want to peel more. Artists, their job is to investigate, to archive, to ask questions. By traveling, all of those things are being answered. So experiencing different cultures, being in a tough situation, which you don't speak the language, you don't understand the culture, gives you that new palette, a new way of seeing things. Art, it's all about asking questions, investigating why, how does this work?
Much like the opening, the closing ceremonies were filled with song, music, and dance.
Bienvenidos al Palacio Lombillo. Agradecer la presencia de todos en esta tarde lluviosa e invernal. Han sido aproximadamente 3 meses de exposición con una gran afluencia de público que quiero que quede expresado de esta manera acá.
Desde el Consejo Nacional de las Artes Plásticas queremos agradecer a todos los que han participado en este hermoso proyecto, La Calle Donde Todos Vivimos, y de manera muy especial a Michael Rees, que ha sido el artífice de este gran proyecto de hace más de 10 años de intercambios con Cuba. Por supuesto, al Consejo de Cultura de Ohio, de la ciudad de Ohio, que también ha hecho posible que se puedan tender estos puentes y a todas las personas que de una manera u otra han estado involucradas en este gran proyecto.
Hi everyone, I'm Councilmember Lourdes Barroso de Badía from the Columbus City Council. You would never thought that Columbus or Ohio and Cuba would have this connection, and it's such a great honor for us to be here. Por el pueblo mío, donde yo nací, que es donde yo me crié. I was just saying, it's just such a beautiful thing and such a beautiful honor to be here with the city that raised me, that I grew up in, to share this opportunity with all of you and my daughters as well. Y es una cosa, esto es lo que hace el arte. El arte, como tú dices, son puentes. Y el arte no ayuda a entendernos. And that's what art does. It builds bridges and it helps us understand each other. So I'm going to stop talking because I'm emotional, and we should all celebrate together. I just also want to thank personally all of the artists for all the beautiful work, for bringing that here, for sharing that with other people, and for bringing back a little bit of Cuba back to Ohio. So thank you.
I want to talk to you about clay and ceramics. So clay is very significant in Ohio, very significant product. It is in our riverbeds in Ohio, so we have lots of clay.
Significante. Tenemos mucho arcilla en los ríos de Colombia.
And Ohio is known for its ceramics.
Y Ohio es conocido por su cerámica.
So it's significant that we are here for the closing event.
I started by thinking about what my concept was, and I thought of the idea of what would a world be without art. And so I wanted to make a gray world and one continuous street. The idea that we are all truly connected. And so I photographed the cathedral square, and I photographed a lot of things, but when I came back, I looked at the cathedral square and I looked at the arches and I looked at the street, and then I decided I wanted to photograph something that was similar to that, and so I photographed the Columbus Art Museum and the library, and noticed that the arches were very similar, so I made a continuous street, Broad Street and the cathedral square, and I made it all gray. It was gray and without art, and I put the flag behind it, it had no color, and I put buildings behind it, they had no color. And then I started to put the artists in. I put 11 artists from Ohio and 11 artists from the workshop, actually, and they were all holding up their artwork. And if they didn't have their artwork, I put some artwork in them. And so it was like as if they were giving gifts to the world and to each other and to collaborate. We were lucky enough to go to the museum. I learned about Cuban art and saw the amazing paintings, and so I photographed them and decided to put them on the Cuban side. And I went to the Columbus Art Museum and photographed the paintings that were there and put those on the buildings of the Columbus Library and the Art Museum. I do believe we share one world, and I believe that art helps communicate that.
Art's like everything good in society. It educates, it entertains, it softens the hardness, the hard edges. It's good for business. It's good for the soul. My life would not be complete without it. I mean, we work, we show up, we punch the time clock, we do all the things we have to do, but the celebration of life is best reflected in the arts.
The arts are, what make us human. The arts are what really give us our shared community and humanity. One of the most important things that I do is get to be able to play just even a small part in shepherding the next generation of artists and designers and creatives. And international travel, getting exposure to different cultures, to different artists from around the world, is such an important opportunity for artists to really give them a way to expand their worldview. And expanding your worldview, I think, can only make you a better artist.
Where I'm from, when we are troubled, or when we can't quite get things figured out, we turn to the grandmothers and we turn to nature. And I'm finding that everywhere we've gone as a group, finding family, community, nature, and a touch of the grandmothers and all the history that's here. So I offer this poem. Amen and amen. The blood of my monthlies long past, my prayers as hollow as my hip bones, my framework a muster of knurled pottery, half floating, half sunken, navigating an arrogant fog that wants me to lie down in it. I've ever longed for a bouquet of exactly the right flowers. I've waited up nights, rising beyond all that somersaults within me to lip at the dark. There's always a clock ticking, fewer talks, and shadows scuttling my vision. Too much has overstayed in me, though some of it worth keeping. I hold unwavering the time I wandered alongside a congregation of bees. Heard in their juiced heart buzz an old-timey gospel tune. Every flap of wing, a commitment to wonder, upholding the goldest of days. I don't know how much like a church it might be inside colorful cups of pestles and pistols. But the sun knows worship, surely, as do dogs wishing after the rain, and robins fussing the blue of their eggs. I'll fly away, oh glory, I'll fly away.
This poem is called Same Old Sun, Brand New Day. It wasn't the first time that I saw the sunrise, but it was the first time I realized it was just as happy to see me as I was to see it. It was the first time that I had felt the gratitude of the sun, an embrace full of warmth and light. That Cuban sun hugged me with the strength of every ray it had to offer, waiting patiently for my body to contort and twist into a stretch big enough to hug back. A small window in the foxa turned path to a new horizon, lit by a grateful sun. This familiar street, one that I feel like I've always known, this infinite and unchanged sun, consistent as it's always been, the change must have been me. And so this street is now a gateway to a new world, a path from home to a brand new day.
To a brand new day. By Lucille Clifton, she said, I am accused of tending to the past as if though I made it, as if I sculpted it with my own hands. I did not. This past was waiting for me when I came a monstrous unnamed baby. And I, with my mother's itch, took it to my breast and named it history. She is more human now, learning language every day, remembering faces, names, and dates. When she is strong enough to travel on her own, beware, she will. Thank you all so much, Michael, to our community. We appreciate you all listening to our poetry and sharing this space with us. This is extremely special to us.
The culmination of this cultural exchange has been a decade in the making. And while the 15th Havana Biennial has ended, these relationships will continue. It reminds us that regardless of where we come from, we share more in common than we realize.
This next song is a Mojoflo original called Funk Ain't a Jam. Give me the funk, 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 give me the funk. Grab a bag, you know it's bound to be alright. Take a trip.